A book written in a language that doesn't exist sits in a Yale vault, and nobody knows who wrote it, what it says, or why. For over 6 centuries it's been passed from collector to collector, locked away, studied obsessively, and it's revealed almost nothing. The Voynich Manuscript is roughly 240 pages of handwritten text, detailed botanical drawings, and astronomical diagrams, all in a cipher so sophisticated that cryptographers, linguists, and AI researchers have failed to crack it. The question isn't whether it's valuable, it's whether anyone will ever understand what it means. We need to rewind. The year is 1912. A Polish-American book collector named Wilfred Voynich is browsing a private library in northern Italy. He's searching for rare manuscripts. It's what he does. Among stacks of aging documents, he finds it, a book no one had catalogued, no one had named, no one could read. He buys it, and he becomes the first person in modern history to hold the key to a mystery that would outlive him by more than a century. What Voynich had found wasn't random. The manuscript had a pedigree. Historians traced its ownership back to the 1500s, to alchemists, scholars, and collectors who'd all held it and all failed to read it. The handwriting itself was elegant, practiced, not the work of a forger or charlatan. This was someone who knew how to write, how to draw, how to compose a book, someone with knowledge, someone with intent, so why make it unreadable? The illustrations offer a clue: plants that look almost real, but not quite, flowers with anatomical precision but stems that twist unnaturally, constellations arranged in ways that don't match any known sky map, nude figures bathing in strange pools connected by tubes and pipes. This isn't a travel journal, it's not a medical text, it's something constructed, deliberately obscure, intentionally layered. In the decades after Voynich's discovery, experts descended. Codebreakers from World War II, including some who'd cracked German military ciphers, took a crack at it. They failed. Linguists compared the manuscript's script to every known writing system: Arabic, Hebrew, Latin, shorthand. Nothing fit. The letter patterns, the word lengths, the structure, it all suggested language. But it was language that shouldn't exist. Then came the theories. Some scholars argued it was a hoax, an elaborate forgery designed to waste time and money. Others insisted it was a real language from a lost civilization. A few claimed it was alchemy encoded. A handful whispered about extraterrestrial origin. But here's what matters: none of these theories held up under scrutiny, and the manuscript kept its secret. In 2009, a team at the University of Arizona used radiocarbon dating on the parchment. The results were definitive. The vellum came from between 1404 and 1438. The ink wasn't dated, it could theoretically be younger. But the consensus among serious researchers is that the manuscript was written in the early 1400s. That narrows the search, not by much, but it's something. What would you have done if you'd spent months, years, a lifetime learning languages and codes only to face a document that seemed to mock every skill you'd mastered? A few researchers went mad, others became obsessed, some walked away. One man in particular, a linguist named Jack Guy, spent decades analyzing statistical patterns in the text. He published nothing definitive, but he never stopped trying. The modern era brought computers, artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms trained on thousands of languages. Researchers fed the manuscript into systems designed to recognize patterns invisible to human eyes, and the algorithms also failed. They couldn't even confidently say whether the script was random or meaningful. That's how well the cipher works. But in 2017, something shifted. A team of researchers published a controversial study claiming the manuscript was written in a Romance language, possibly a dialect of Italian or similar. They used statistical analysis of letter frequency and word patterns. The cryptographic community didn't accept it. The evidence was suggestive, not conclusive, but it was the first serious breakthrough in decades. The door had cracked open. Then came the hypothesis that changed everything. What if the manuscript wasn't a cipher at all? What if it was written in a real language, one that was simply extinct or so obscure that no modern linguist had encountered it? A constructed language, perhaps, a private notation system, a shorthand developed by a single scribe for a single purpose, not meant to be cracked by strangers centuries later. If that's true, and it's a significant if, then the Voynich manuscript might be solvable, but only if we find the key. A letter from the author, a bilingual text, something that bridges the gap between the unknown language and a known one. Without that, every word remains locked away, and the author, whoever they were, keeps their secret. Here's what we know for certain. The Voynich manuscript was created in the early 1400s by someone with education, artistic skill, and knowledge of botany and astronomy. It was deliberately obscured. It passed through the hands of collectors and scholars who recognized its value but couldn't unlock its meaning. And despite centuries of the best minds attempting to decode it, it remains unread. The most unsettling possibility: it might never be deciphered, not because it's unbreakable, but because the knowledge needed to break it died with its author. That scribe, that mysterious figure from 600 years ago, created something that outlasted their own lifetime. Something that became more famous for what it hides than for what it says. That's a kind of immortality. The Voynich Manuscript sits in the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University today. It's been digitized, analyzed, theorized about endlessly. Every few years, someone claims to have solved it. Every time, the claim falls apart under scrutiny. The manuscript has become a mirror for human curiosity. We see in it what we want to see, but we never quite see the truth. The real question isn't whether the manuscript can be decoded, it's whether we deserve to know what's inside. Some mysteries demand answers, others ask us something different. What are we willing to live with? What drives us to solve the unsolvable? And what does it say about us that a 600-year-old book still has the power to humble the brightest minds alive? If unsolved mysteries like this fascinate you, subscribe. We examine one new case every week, separating what we actually know from what we've been told.